welcome to this week's episode of Matchup Maximizer, presented by Keeping Karlsson. I'm your host, Jeremy Versillo, and I'm here to walk you all through Fantasy Hockey Week 21 by Yahoo Scheduling, the second to last week of most people's regular season, and I'm going to give you all of the best streamer advice and matchups to help you win this crucial week before playoffs. And at the end of the show, if we have time, I may give you a couple bonus picks for those of you who are looking to pre-stream for your quarterfinal matchups. This week, there are 2 heavy days with 24 and 26 games, respectively. By games, I mean teams playing, not games. 1 medium day of 18 teams playing, and 3 light days. As usual, the light days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, so be looking for teams that play on those days in a lot of your leagues. Unfortunately, there is not a team with the classic Streamagami that plays all 4 of those days, but there are a couple that play 3 that I'm going to mention shortly. Additionally, there are 3 teams that only play twice that you could consider dropping some players from. The best schedule of the week goes to the Colorado Avalanche, who play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, meaning you can rotate them out for a Saturday-Sunday stream when you're done. And those games are against Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota, 3 teams that aren't the scariest of defenses. Unfortunately, Colorado's a bit of a tricky team to stream from, as, especially with the impending return of Valeri Nichushkin, they don't have a ton of hanger-ons on the top 6. Some guys you should consider, though, defensively, Bowen Byram and Sam Girard, and on offense, Jonathan Drouin, Ross Colton, and Logan O'Connor. I think I like Colton the best of those 3. He's 30-something% owned in Cupful. Drouin and O'Connor are kind of more Hail Mary type plays, but you do get that good Chicago matchup to start the week, and there's a chance Val Nichushkin isn't back for that one, as it's the first game, so maybe there's some possibility that you get a top 6 slot out of more than one of those guys if he's not back yet. Actually, taking a second to look at the lines, Colton and O'Connor have been on that second line where presumably Nichushkin slots in or Lehkonen slots in. So I'd definitely be going with both of them over Jonathan Drouin. On the other hand, Jonathan Drouin has had that power play slot, although Nichushkin was practicing there. I don't know if he's going to take Drouin or Lehkonen's spot on the power play. So I wouldn't be banking on any power play one time from any of those 3 players. The next team I want to talk about also has 3 off nights, but they are Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So on the flip side, you may be able to wait a bit to add some of those players. And I'm talking about the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks lines have been a bit in flux recently with the recent injury to Troy Terry, who just returned, and a new injury to Leo Carlsson, not to mention Cam Fowler on the back end, so who really knows who's running the power play? But there are 2, in my opinion, slam dunk streamers from the Ducks that probably will end up being my streamers of the week. I haven't actually looked at all the other teams yet, so we'll see. But those are Adam Henrique and Alex Killorn. They are both playing on the top line, quote, in even strength with Max Jones, which is kind of an odd choice for a first-line winger. Additionally, they're playing on the power play unit that is labeled as power play 2, but has gotten more than half of the power play time in recent games. Additionally, they've both had some pretty good point totals recently. Killorn looks to be 85% owned in Cupful, so he may not be there available for you. And actually, apparently Adam Henrique is 100% owned, which surprises me a bit, even with the nice Thursday, Friday, Sunday they have right now, so some people probably streamed him. He'll probably be available. Maybe I've misread how popular he is. The other guy that caught my eye flipping through the Ducks free agents in Cupful, Radko Gudas is only 83% owned, and he's a fantastic just get your hits, get your blocks type of D-man. With Fowler potentially being out, Gudas could be seeing even more time, especially on the penalty kill, where he can rack up those hits and blocks. If you want to go a bit more out there for power play time, you could check out Pavel Mintyukov or Olen Zellweger, 2 fantastic rookies that are exciting to watch, but would scare me to trust for more than 1 game at a time, as Zellweger could go down as soon as Fowler's back. Mintyukov has been on and off that top power play depending on who else is available. I wouldn't really consider either of them unless you get to Friday and are really desperate for a Friday-Sunday streamer. But yeah, so far, Alex Killorn looking like a top choice of mine for streaming. He had a goal and an assist 2 games ago against San Jose. Nothing last night against New Jersey, but he was +2, meaning the team's doing stuff when he's on the ice. He's been on Power Play 2, not Power Play 1A, as I mentioned earlier. Got some decent hit games recently, some 4 and 3 shot games recently, although it's been a bit streaky. I like him for opportunities to put the puck in the net on a bad team. So he's a early leader for Streamer of the Week. On now to some teams that play 4 games, but 2 off nights. The Arizona Coyotes play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. That's good because Saturday is the busiest night, and Tuesday is a night where a lot of people maybe will fit guys in their lineup. From the Coyotes, I would definitely be looking at Matias Maccelli, who's available in a couple of Cupful leagues. And actually, Connor Ingram's available in 2 leagues. Please go at him if he's available. He looks like he's going to be starting the majority of their games. They did just break that losing streak. They give up a lot of volume shots. And assuming he starts the first 2 of the first 3 or 3 of the 4 games, he's a great streamer option. Maccelli's been hot lately, as is shown by him being mostly owned. Nick Bjugstad, 85% owned. A lot of these Coyotes are owned because they had a similar Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday schedule this week. If you're looking for a defenseman, Matt Dumba's been a decent option. Ever since the All-Star break, his hits plus blocks per game has been up almost 2 hits plus blocks each game, which is, that's 3/4 of a cupful point per game, which is a pretty big swing. Kerfoot and Genther have been pretty hot lately and are 74 and 68% owned. Jason Zucker and Logan Cooley, a bit lower owned. Not huge on them. They haven't been doing a ton lately. I think Cooley's kind of hit that rookie wall. Barrett Hayton also has kind of shown a bit of a resurgence. I know I'm a huge fan of his, but he has not done well this year. I'd probably be avoiding him also, assuming Maccelli or Bjugstad are available to me, or Kerfoot. Those are the 3 Coyotes I'd be targeting. The next team with 4 games and 2 off nights is Calgary with a Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday schedule. This one's a bit more difficult to fit in as Thursday and Saturday are both extremely busy. I know I had a couple flames on my waiver wire, namely Igor Sharangovich and Andrei Kuzmenko, that I would have loved to add, but I only would have been able to fit them for the Monday, Sunday games, and that seemed like a waste of a roster spot. But if your team is constructed differently and you can fit them for 3 or even all 4 of those games, definitely look for those 2 guys available. Sharangovich is actually available in just about half of Cupful leagues and even more of Yahoo leagues as a whole, so he's a good target. Jonathan Huberdeau and Blake Coleman are available in a select few leagues, so if you feel lucky and can get one of those guys, that's a great deal. Mikhail Backlund's another option. I'm assuming Kuzmenko's gonna show up if I click this next button a few more times. Yeah, Kuzmenko 26% owned, Backlund 28% owned. Any of those guys are nice little ads. I believe, looks like Hanifin and Uyghur are fully owned. Same with Rasmus Anderson. Defensively, Oliver Shillington is kind of interesting, especially now that they've traded Tanev and may be trading Hanifin by next Friday. Actually, I'd be surprised if they don't trade Hanifin by next Friday. Shillington recently came off of I think almost 2-year break for some mental health and has looked really good in this return, and it's the type of story you root for. He was a pretty high pedigree prospect back in the day, and he's in his mid-20s now. I think he's 24 or 25. So if you need a deeper league ad or a longer shot, I'd definitely be looking to see if Shillington's available to shore up your defense. The last team with 4 games and 2 off nights is the Chicago Blackhawks. Fortunately, their schedule is really weird. They play Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday. Peter Mrazek's available in about 25% of leagues, but with both those back-to-backs, he's only getting you 2 starts, probably 6 days apart. That's not fun at all. Nick Foligno recently got bumped off of Bedard's line, but is only 55% owned. maybe I'd consider going there, but off of Bedard's line, maybe not. Ryan Donato and Philip Kurashev are the two playing with Bedard right now, and they're pretty much universally available. Not sure I really have a ton of interest in either of them. Tyler Johnson is universally available and was getting power play time last I checked. Again, though, with that schedule, you're basically just adding them for Monday, Tuesday, and there's some other teams that I'm actually about to get into who also play Monday, Tuesday, and then you can figure out what to do. I think the optimal strategy this week is going to be adding a Monday, Tuesday guy and swapping them out for a Duck, or adding a Colorado guy and swapping them out Saturday for a Saturday, Sunday guy if you have the roster space on Saturday. The four other teams who play Monday, Tuesday are the Columbus Blue Jackets with Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the Florida Panthers with Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the St. Louis Blues with Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and the Seattle Kraken with Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Kraken make for kind of an interesting one. If your Thursday is a bit busy, you could get 3 games out of one of those guys. For the rest of those teams, I'd be looking at Jack Roslovic from Columbus. Roslovic is only 64% owned and has been playing on the top line and quite hot lately. That seems like a nice train to get on right about now, if you have room for those games. Also, the Russian line of Chinakhov, Voronkov, and Marchenko are all somewhat available in leagues. I know they got benched last game because they were playing, quote, like the Harlem Globetrotters, which to me seems pretty good because it means they score a lot and they win. But I guess Pascal Vincent wasn't thrilled with it. But hey, they're a young second line. They're going to get back out there, and they seem to have some real chemistry together. Marchenko and Voronkov are more interesting to me than Chinakhov, but all of them are a great bet for a couple of points and some shots in this upcoming week. Defensively, there's not much of interest in Columbus, so I guess one more thing, if Elvis Merzlikins is available, that's a potential 3 goalie starts for you, or at the very least 2. I don't know, I like streaming my bad goalies who are going to face 40 shots a game, even if they give up 5. On to the Panthers. I'm looking at their lines, and honestly, there's not much here. I know the third line of Luostarinen, Lindell, and Rodriguez had, I believe, 2 or 3 goals today. I know I saw them on the Guavas and Apples app quite a bit. I honestly can't recommend any of them. Don't feel like recommending second line Nick Cousins. I definitely like the Columbus options better than the Florida ones here. St. Louis is our third one, and on the offensive side, I don't think they have much to offer. Let's see, the first line is Buchnevich, Tomic, Skyru. Nobody's going to be available there. Second line, Shen and Neighbors are probably somewhat available. Shen looks like he's only 74% owned, Neighbors 55% owned. Those are pretty good options. Neighbors has been playing on Power Play 1, I believe. Shen's looked pretty good at even strength for the past while now. I like both of those options if you can fit a 4-game streamer. Colton Parayko's available in one league. Definitely go add him. I know I had actually just talked about dropping him, but 4-game week, he's an easy add. One of the better streamer-level defensemen. In a 3-game Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday type week, I can definitely understand dropping him, and that's why I would have this week if I wasn't a bit ahead in my matchup and could afford to be a bit inefficient with my streams. Also, Justin Falk's available in a handful of leagues. I guess he just never got picked up when he came back from injury. I would look to add him, even though he really hasn't done much lately. I think he's the best fantasy defenseman on that St. Louis blue line in a vacuum. Obviously, the injury and some of the recent play of Parayko, maybe not currently, but he's definitely the one that has the chance to, just kind of go a little bit crazy and suddenly be a guy you're looking at rostering the rest of the season. Torrey Krug is also available in the same amount of leagues as Falk. Not as interested in Krug. I know he had that 5-assist game or 4-assist game recently. I do feel like Krug is mostly empty calories and you're praying for him to hit on the power play for fantasy. Finally, if you're looking for some Monday, Tuesday guys, the Seattle Kraken also play Monday, Tuesday, and then sneak in a Friday game if you're willing to hold a guy for 2 consecutive days in which he doesn't play, which is something I often won't do and maybe to my detriment. Jordan Eberle is only 81% owned and has looked pretty good lately. He's also been subject to trade rumors, so your mileage may vary with that, especially for the Friday game. I do think the Kraken's preference is to keep him, though, so he may stay in the lineup even if he's continued to be subject to rumors. Looking at other Kraken available, Oliver Bjorkstrand's available in 32% of leagues. I kind of like that ad. He hasn't done much lately, but I think he's one of the offensive talents of the team and the only one really available. I'm guessing Jaden Schwartz is available if I click to the right a few more times. Oh, Eeli Tolvanen's available in 66% of leagues and had a goal today and a ton of shots. He's been doing that Ovechkin-Stamkos thing on the power play where Dunn just feeds so many crank shots into the goalie or over the net usually. Had one that bounced off of someone today and went in. How would I rank those guys? I guess I think I'd go Tolvanen, then Eberle, then Bjorkstrand. They're all kind of similar though. Tough choices. The other interesting one with the Kraken is both goalies are pretty widely available. Grubauer's been fantastic lately. I would not be surprised if he continues to see the majority of starts. But obviously with the Monday-Tuesday game, they're both going to play. Actually, that's a great point for all of these teams I've mentioned. If you have a goalie slot both days, you could add one of the backups. Anthony Stolarz has been on fire lately. Joel Hofer's been a bit more hit and miss. Grubauer and Decord are good options. And what was the fourth? Oh, Columbus. I'm not sure I'd add Tarasov. I'd add Merzlikins because I hate myself. And, yeah, I think I'd be targeting Stolarz or one of the Kraken goalies if they're available. Rounding out the available Kraken, you got Adam Larson, Matty Beniers, Alex Wenberg. Probably not them. I think stick to the three shooters, Eberle, Bjorkstrand, and Tolvanen, if you do want to hop on the Kraken train for a couple games. With that, let's take a short break, and I'll be back to talk about a couple more teams with 4-game schedules, and some guys you may be able to drop, and some guys you may want to be paying attention for if you are already locked into a playoff slot. 2 more teams to look at if you have availability on the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this week especially, are the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Edmonton Oilers, who both play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I'd be most interested in some defensemen from these teams, specifically Matthias Ekholm and Marcus Pettersson. 96% and 60% owned in Cupful, respectively. It's more likely you'll have a defensive spot on those days, given that there's 4 of them on your team, and if you've got a lot of people, only one of them has to be missing a game for that to open up the slot. On the wings and stuff, Warren Fogel's 68% owned, but he's no longer on the McDavid line. I kind of hate playing McDavid wingers anyway, because it seems like they just never get in on anything because McDavid and Draisaitl are so good. Riley Smith is second line and power play 1B in Pittsburgh, 1B being the Letang-Malkin unit, but not the Crosby-Carlson unit. So I guess Riley Smith is kind of a decent winger option. It's nice because he plays both left and right wings, so you may be able to fit him in a bit easier. Matthias Janmark is the flavor of the week on the top 6 in Edmonton, but I watched the game today and he did absolutely nothing, so I don't know if I'd do that. Puustinen and O'Connor are Malkin's wingers right now, so yeah, good luck with that. Riley Smith is on the top line with Crosby and Raquel, so maybe he's worth a closer look than I was considering. But again, the odds of you being able to fit him on the Thursday and the Saturday especially are pretty slim. So check before you make any of those ads on Edmonton or Pittsburgh. That brings us to 3 teams that have only 2 games this week, but 2 of them come with a little bit of a caveat. The easy one is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They only play twice this week, and they only play twice next week before getting 4 games in quarterfinals week. So if you have any Tampa Bay Lightning players who are fringy and you need wins now, your Nicholas Pauls, your Anthony Cirellis, you just gotta cut them loose. You can't take a 2-game week when it's a pretty busy week with a lot of teams playing 4. That's a death blow. You got your point, Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman. Yeah, you just gotta hold them through. This is what happens when the NHL has a bit of a wonky schedule. You have some 4-game weeks, you also have some 2-game weeks. So yeah, Paul and Sorelli are on the chopping block, and I wouldn't think twice about it unless you are already locked into your position and don't care about weeks 21 and 22. The tricky ones come in with New York Rangers and Washington Capitals. New York only plays twice this week, after playing only twice last week, so if you've held on this long, you're probably just in for $1. New York plays 5 times in week 22, though, so you could kind of hold on through and be ready for a really powerful week 22 push, although there are a lot of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games on week 22, so maybe you can't even fit those fringy guys on all 5 days. I'd be considering cutting your Kakos, your Lafrenières, your Coolies. Just, again, you can't hold a 2-game week when you need a win. The Caps are the other one that's a bit tricky. They play only twice this coming week, and then they play 4 times week 22, and 4 times Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday on your quarterfinal week. So this is where I'm going to come in with you still got to play the waiver wire, even if you're kind of settled for a couple weeks, because let's say someone drops Dylan Strome, who's been quite good for the Caps recently. I'm kind of hoping some of my league mates drop Dylan Strome, and I can add him and have a great player for my quarterfinal, which I'm already locked into in one of my leagues. There's another league where I'm more looking at semifinals. So depending on which week you're looking at, take a look at the schedules for the March 18th through 24th quarterfinal week and the March 25th through 31st semifinal week, depending on which one is going to be your first round of playoffs. And take note of the good schedules, especially the Streamagami type schedules. That semifinal week is hideous and ugly. And maybe watch list some players that are currently on people's teams and may get dropped in the next week. And if one of them gets dropped, that's a great use of your fab. Scoop them up and be ready for that. With that, I think I am going to have to pick a streamer of the week. And gotta say, I don't love the choices here, but I'm gonna go with Alex Killorn. Like I mentioned earlier, the 3 off nights guarantees he'll fit everybody's lineup on all 3 of those days. If you have a lineup you can't fit him on Sunday, I would be surprised, but don't hold me to it. You gotta do your own double checking. I think he's got a lot of ice time, he's kind of rounding back into form post-injury, and someone on the Ducks needs to score goals, and might as well be him. And real quick, I can pull up some Sunday saviors for you guys. One such Sunday savior, Casey DeSmith, I believe, is semi-confirmed for the goalie start against Anaheim tomorrow. I always like doing goalies as my one-day Sunday streams. I think pound for pound, a one-day goalie is going to get you more points than a one-game skater. Obviously, not always are goalies available, and not always are good goalies available. But Casey DeSmith is a pretty good goalie on a good team, playing against a bad team. That's when I'd be pretty comfortable rolling out there. 2 other potential Sunday saviors. Hendrix Lapierre on Washington was playing with the Ovechkin line and on Power Play 1 last game, and was rewarded with 2 points. He's a pretty highly regarded prospect, not future superstar, but future NHLer, probably second-line player for the post-rebuild Caps. If he's playing with Ovi and Wilson, I definitely want a piece of him, and that power play is always nice to have, especially now that Ovi's kind of scoring again. He'd be probably my top choice for a Sunday savior. Another one that could be a decent option is Jordan Greenway, who was elevated to the top line with Thompson and Tuck today. He hasn't done anything through one period, but worth keeping an eye on, and I think I like Washington's matchup against Arizona a bit better, but Greenway does have that Winnipeg matchup. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Best of luck in the rest of your matchup this week and your Week 21 matchup. Hopefully you can start game planning for playoffs, and as always, feel free to tag me in the Discord and the Matchup Maximizer channel, and I will talk to you about your specific situation and who you think is a good or a bad streamer option. Thanks for listening.